For writers and public personalities, it's becoming increasingly important to have an online presence. This normally takes the form of a website and social media. However, things like a cluttered site or broken links can scare potential readers away. It's time to get a health check. Until the 30th of June, Black Wolf Editorial Services is offering a special website health check package. Get a new bio for your site. Have the site navigation and general layout assessed. Get a review of your Twitter activities. Get an objective opinion about your public Facebook page. Find out what works well and what could potentially scare your readers away. And all this for $35. At the end of the day, the face we put online will be the one that most people will see. Let us help you put your best foot forward. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For full details and a list of other services, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
For our own cause, we got a pen and telephone to bypass all your laws. Political courageous will replace the Bill of Rights.
Good afternoon, Philadelphia. It's Friday. You've made it. You're driving home. Now you're stuck with me for the next hour. No, I'm just kidding. You can literally change the channel, but we don't want you to do that. Anyway, this is, or will be in just a moment, the according to me, America Off the Rails, hosted by yours truly, Mr. Rick Robinson. Sorry, I was just in a meeting talking to some folks about a bit that we've been putting together with Donald Trump about some campaign speeches. You may have heard one that we did originally. It was actually done by the guy that used to host According to Me, so that's why I almost gave the name of his show instead of mine. But anyway, so at this point, folks, we are live. We're going to get started here in just a minute. Just wanted to give you a brief rundown. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about today. We've got the Ryan semi-walk back of the endorsement of Trump. We've got the fact that a sitting senator basically did walk back the endorsement. May touch on that, maybe not sure. Depends on what else we got to go with. We got the fact that apparently you guys in Philly are losing your mind and apparently wanted to pay some extra taxes on some soda. And, of course, we also have lots of audio. We've got some never-before-heard footage exclusively from our group here at the Spark Radio Network in conjunction with the Conservative Commando Radio Network that has some insider footage or audio footage from the meeting between Bernie Sanders and President Obama. We've got the dumpster fire that now officially has become a flame war on Twitter and so much more. But we've got to take really quick break, pay some bills, get some other stuff out of the way. We'll be back with the start of the show here in just a minute. Hey, wake up. You're driving. Don't doze off. I only say it because I do it sometimes myself. So make sure you're not falling asleep. Want to get you home safe. Enjoy the drive. Be right back.
Are you tired of the disregard for our Constitution? Do you still have faith in the American dream? Are you looking for sensible, smart radio? If so, listen to the Conservative Commandos Radio Network every weekday from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. and Saturdays from 2 to 6 p.m. on WNJC Radio, 1360 on your AM dial, or around the world on the internet at WNJCradio.com. Check out our website, ccrsnetwork.com, for rebroadcasts and network updates. We are the Conservative Commandos Radio Network, where now even more newsmakers go to be heard.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? America Off the Rails has been declared a conservatives-only safe zone. Only conservatives allowed from this point forward. Any liberal, socialist, butthurt, hippie, tree huggers, please exit the facility immediately. Again, attention please. America Off the Rails is now designated as a conservative safe zone only. All butthurt, tree hugging, hippie, free to be you and me types exit the facility immediately. Thank you.
We will keep this promise to the American people. If you like your doctor, you will be able to keep your doctor, period. If you like your health care plan, you will be able to keep your health care plan, period.
This is the most transparent administration in history. Not even a smidgen of corruption.
Fact is, we had 4 dead Americans. What difference at this point does it make?
If you got a business, you didn't build that.
Oh, welcome to the face. Welcome to the face of the new democracy. Come expect
Keep on doing what you do, Rick. You're my favorite host.
It's time to hear the truth about America's biggest challenges. You're listening to America Off the Rails with your host, Rick Robinson.
All right, Philadelphia, we're back. The show has officially started. Hope everybody's had a great week. It's Friday. You're almost home, and we've got a lot to talk about. So we're going to actually start out with some news stories that I've found over the last few days, one of which is actually local to you guys. I know you guys, I do the show from Oklahoma, but I thought it might be a good idea if we start at least putting together a little bit of local stuff. But I want to start with some national stuff first, and some important stuff, because it's just kind of crazy. The Ninth Circuit has recently overturned a lower court's ruling, and just to read the headline, Ninth Circuit, Americans don't have the right to carry concealed firearms in public. It was not a good day for gun rights folks. The Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, otherwise known as the Ninth Circuit, ruled that Americans do not have the right to carry concealed firearms in public under the Second Amendment, and that personal protection did not satisfy the good reason provision for the issuance of a carrier permit either. The San Francisco-based Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, in a 7-4 ruling, upheld a California law requiring residents to show good cause for carrying a concealed handgun. Under the California law, personal safety alone does not qualify as good cause, which is defined by county sheriffs. The plaintiffs, the gun owners, seeking licenses to carry their weapons concealed, said the policies in San Diego and Yolo counties really is, I promise, it's Yolo counties. I just realized that's like slang term for the young kids. You only live once or some crap like that. Where they live violated their Second Amendment rights. We hold that the Second Amendment does not preserve or protect a right of a member of the general public to carry concealed firearms in public, wrote Judge William A. Fletcher, an appointee of President Bill Clinton, for the 7-judge majority. Lawmakers are free to enact any prohibition or restriction a state may choose on the carrying of concealed guns, Judge Fletcher said. A Second Amendment right to carry a firearm openly in public may exist, but the Supreme Court hasn't answered that question, Judge Fletcher wrote. Many gun law experts, Second Amendment scholars, and others expect the law on concealed carry outside the home ultimately will be settled by the U.S. Supreme Court. The court has so far turned away several opportunities to take up the issue. Now, this latest was actually in the Ninth Circuit was what's called an en banc ruling, which is basically where the whole bench was involved. They did actually have a panel decision in 2014 where they actually upheld the constitutionality of concealed carry. So now I think, honestly, the Supreme Court's going to have no choice but to get involved, because now the same court has ruled differently on the same issue, now not once but twice. Now, it's interesting that in the panel ruling, they upheld it when the entire bench was present. They couldn't, and it just goes to show that over time, things have seemed to have gotten in the direction where we seem to have more and more liberal judges. Now, for all of you that are pounding your chest right now and saying, but Rick, this is why we have to vote Trump, because he's going to be the guy that put together this wonderful list of all of these judges. First of all, so let's dissect what you're thinking right now. His exact words were, these are the people that I'm considering for this one nomination, which is the one to replace the recently deceased Antonin Scalia. After that, he made no promises. He even said that. After that, I'm not saying anything else. Then, within 24 hours, when the story started leaking out about the fact that it was actually the very establishment, and yes, you can't see them because I'm doing radio, so I always put emphasis on a word when I'm doing air quotes. So the very establishment that he hates and despises were the ones that fed him this list as kind of a litmus test. We're like, okay, so apparently you're the guy, so let's see if you're going to play ball even just a little bit, because even he's the guy, and I've played it before, not going to play it again, that said if he got the nomination, he was going to have to move more towards the center, possibly even become more establishment, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. So they fed him the list, and they were like, let's see what he does with it. And within 24 hours, he's like, psych. So those names that I gave you yesterday, yeah, those names aren't necessarily the people that I'm going to be going after, but I'm going to be looking for folks that are similar to them. Notice the emphasis again, yeah, air quotes. So I'm going to be looking for folks that are like them, same general, beliefs and blah blah blah, but not necessarily those people. So for all of you that are like, but Rick, this proves that we have to vote for Trump. No, it proves nothing of the sort. It proves that we're screwed. It proves that America is done. It proves that this great nation has now been reduced to what amounts to a flame war on Twitter. For those of you who don't know, Thursday, the 9th, the two frontrunners, the Democratic frontrunner and the Republican frontrunner, they had a little something on Twitter that kind of sounded a lot like this. That's right. They had their own little flame war. In what amounts to third grade politics from the schoolyard, they basically resulted to name calling and mudslinging and the political equivalent of I'm rubber, you're glue. What bounces off me sticks to you. That's right, because one, Mr. Donald Trump made some sort of comment about, the whole... Hang on, actually, let me just pull it up because I have it here someplace. That way I can actually be talking about what we're actually talking about. So hang on just a second here. Anyway, I guess I don't need to do the exact quote. But anyway, so let's just say that Donald Trump made a snarky comment about Hillary Clinton. Probably something to do with the emails, if I remember correctly. And whoever was manning her account at that time actually just quote tweeted it and said, hey, delete your account. And then his retort back was, which one of your 896 staffers that you're paying was the one that came up with this little gem, and what about your 30,000 emails that you deleted? And it went on and on and on and on, so much so that the hashtag delete your account began trending on Twitter. So if we're making a list of the people that I think should delete their accounts, yes, we should probably start with Donald Trump. Yes, we should definitely continue with Hillary Clinton. Then we should take out folks like Sean Hannity and Laura Ingraham and all the other Trump bots that have made this election cycle possible, because the fact that our two leading frontrunners are having a flame war on Twitter is proof why we in America are no longer allowed to have nice things. We have let the political process become a joke. It is now a laughingstock. We have spent the last 3-4 cycles doing the same things over and over again, and yet expecting different results, and it has just become the epitome of Einstein's definition of insanity, and I've had enough. I'm watching this election cycle, and I don't know who I'm more ashamed of. The people that are doing these things are the people that are supporting the idiots that are doing these things. We keep having these Pavlovian responses where it's, oh my God, I'm a Republican, so I have to go ring the Republican bell. Or, oh my God, I'm a Democrat, so I have to go ring the Democratic bell. Look, neither one of these parties represent either one of us anymore, and this election cycle is complete and utter proof of that fact. This isn't hyperbole any longer, folks. Neither of the parties that have been in power for the last 100 years have any of our interests at heart anymore. And yet, even though, if you look at the numbers, 60% of the American population is not happy with either one of the frontrunners, whether it's the Republican frontrunner or the Democratic frontrunner, we're still going to pick up our banner. It's going to be red or blue. We're going to march off, and we're going to pull the lever for whichever one we think should win, because we're the ideologues, and we, by God, know that the GOP is better than the Democrats, or by God, we're ideologues, and we know the DNC is better than the GOP. Look, they're the same thing. It's a brand war. It's been a brand war for the last 3 cycles. And we keep falling into the same trap. This was the chance. It literally was the chance to finally put someone back in the White House who understood the Constitution. Donald Trump doesn't know the first thing about the Constitution. Hillary Clinton thinks the Constitution is a hindrance. Neither one of these people should be the political frontrunners. For God's sake, he is a chameleon who is basically nothing but a glorified snake oil salesman who tells people what they want to hear, and she's a freaking murderer. I said freaking. Don't freak out. Wasn't one of those words. Trust me, if it was, you'd have heard a beep. Because they would, and I would have gotten a little buzz in my headset and be like, hey, dude, can't say things like that on the radio. Trust me, it's happened before. All right, so anyway, where was I? Oh, yeah, my rant, my rave. I don't understand how we've gotten to where we are. Look, I understand, the dyed-in-the-wool ones that are like, look, dude, I think Trump is the guy. I think Trump is the guy that's going to do the things that he says he's going to do. Or even the ones that are like, hey, Hillary Clinton, yeah, she's my girl. We actually have not Donald Trump, but Obama, have a clip we're going to play in a minute of him saying exactly that. I understand those folks. What I don't understand are the on-the-fencers that are like, well, I only agree with about 2 of the things that he says, but those 2 things are really important to me, so he's the guy I'm voting for. Or I'm not so sure about her, except for these maybe 3 things, so she's the one that I think I agree with, so I'm going to pull the lever for her. Look, when are we actually going to do something that actually elicits real change? And I'm not talking revolution, not slick. I'm looking at you. Put it down. No, don't do it. It's not that time yet. I told you I would tell you when it was time. It's not time. Anyway, for those of you who don't know, Slick Retrigger is the guy that runs Rebel Road Tactical. He's also a survivalist. And he's the one that always gives me a really hard time about when is it going to be time that we're going to do something. And anytime I use that phrase, I know his ears perk up because he's waiting for me to give him the go-ahead, but it's not going to happen, at least not today. Look, we still have other options. We have alternatives to bloodshed. Look, our founding fathers were geniuses. They understood that populism isn't how a country should be run. They understood that populism was a whim. This country wasn't designed to run on whims. It was designed to run on the will of the people, tempered by common sense. We don't have common sense anymore. And look, you can hate me all you want, but I didn't start any of this to win friends and influence people. I started this because I was tired of hearing the same crap from all of the talking heads who want to say the same things over and over and over again and not care that ultimately the people that they're hurting are the very people that are listening to them. We see this today. We see folks like Ann Coulter who have completely jumped the shark. Sean Hannity, who I used to really, really like, who has completely jumped the shark. And it is insane to watch them now do what they've always done and fall in line behind the nominee. Be like, we don't have a choice, folks. He may not be great, may not be perfect, but he's still the nominee. We got to vote for him. No, we don't. When the party stops listening to you and keeps putting up the same crazy people or variations of the same crazy people over and over and over again, it's time to do something different. And if the fact has escaped you thus far, let me remind you of something, and then I'm going to play some audio. The very person that you're about to hear endorse Hillary Clinton is the person who's had the office now for the last 8 years and was the one that beat her in the first place. But listen to some of the things that he says, and then we're going to talk about this a little bit.
For more than a year now, across thousands of miles in all 50 states, tens of millions of Americans have made their voices heard. Today, I just want to add mine. I want to congratulate Hillary Clinton on making history as the presumptive Democratic nominee for President of the United States. Look, I know how hard this job can be. That's why I know Hillary will be so good at it. In fact, I don't think there's ever been someone so qualified to hold this office. She's got the courage, the compassion, and the heart to get the job done. And I say that as somebody who had to debate her more than 20 times. Even after our own hard-fought campaign, in a testament to her character, she agreed to serve our country as Secretary of State. And from the decision we made in the Situation Room to get bin Laden, to our pursuit of diplomacy in capitals around the world, I have seen her judgment. I've seen her toughness. I've seen her commitment to our values up close. I've seen her determination to give every American a fair shot at opportunity, no matter how tough the fight was. That's what has always driven her, and it still does. So I want those of you who've been with me from the beginning of this incredible journey to be the first to know that I'm with her. I am fired up, and I cannot wait to get out there and campaign for Hillary. I also want to thank everybody who turned out to vote and who worked so hard for our candidates. This has been a hard-fought race. I know some say these primaries have somehow left the Democratic Party more divided. Well, you know, they said that 8 years ago as well. But just like 8 years ago, there are millions of Americans, not just Democrats, who've cast their ballots for the very first time. And a lot of that is thanks to Senator Bernie Sanders, who has run an incredible campaign. I had a great meeting with him this week, and I thanked him for shining a spotlight on issues like economic inequality and the outsized influence of money in our politics, and bringing young people into the process. Embracing that message is going to help us win in November. But more importantly, it'll make the Democratic Party stronger, and it will make America stronger. Secretary Clinton and Senator Sanders may have been rivals during this primary, but they're both patriots who love this country, and they share a vision for the America that we all believe in. An America that's hopeful, an America that's big-hearted, an America that is strong and fair and gives every child the same chance that we had. Those are the values that unite us as Democrats. Those are the values that make America great. Those are the values that are going to be tested in this election. And if we all come together in common effort, I'm convinced we won't just win in November. We'll build on the progress that we've made, and we will win a brighter future for this country that we love.
All right, so let's start from the beginning. He basically just admitted that even he himself sucks, because when the guy that's sitting in the office says, hey, I don't think anybody's ever had better qualifications than her to be president, kind of tells you what he actually thinks about the job that he's done. Just saying. There's so many other things that we could pick apart with this thing. I mean, look, the simple fact of the matter is you can tell he's reading a speech that somebody else wrote. You can tell he doesn't believe a word of what he just said. And the simple fact of the matter is this wasn't some amicable agreement between these two that she basically she picked up the mantle and became a Secretary of State. She did it as a political favor so that he would owe her a favor. And now she's cashing in on that favor because she couldn't do it in 2012 because he was the nominee. He's a sitting president. I don't think there's ever been a president that was primaried. I can't think of one off the top of my head. So it's not like it was even an option then. So, but in 2016, it is an option. So now she's calling in the marker because, hey, she's like, I went to bat for you. You promised me if I did this, you'd endorse me. And that's what he's doing. And you can tell that he's basically phoning it in. I mean, he's using so many things and so many different adjectives about Hillary Clinton that most people wouldn't ever use. Talking about her courage and her compassion. I've seen no courage. I've seen very little compassion. I've seen someone who is more worried about chasing a dollar by lining out speeches that she gets paid $500 a syllable for. I've seen someone who's more concerned about making sure that her agenda is followed more closely, making sure that she's put in the best possible light. I mean, it's just insane to watch these people. To watch both of them, both Hillary and Trump, basically do nothing but project airs. And so many of the American public are completely eating it up, and it just befuddles me to no end. To listen to the things that he just said in this recorded speech that was turned into a video that when you have time, go look at the video. It loses a little bit in translation, But I'm telling you, if you can see the look on his face, the first thing that you're going to ask yourself is the first thing that I asked myself. Did he have to get stoned to even make this video? Because he looks high. I mean, I'm not even playing. He seriously looks high. He looks like he had to spark up to even be able to put that many nice things about her together in a single video, much less a single sentence. And it astounds me that everybody's making this big deal about this endorsement, and it's just insane. I mean, what did you expect him to do? I don't know. But anyway, at this point, I did realize that we are actually at the bottom of the hour, so we're going to take a quick break because we've got a lot of stuff to still get to and a lot more things to talk about. When we come back, we do have this week's version, edition of A Day in the Life Hillary server. That's right, it was hacked, but it's back. We've got some fresh emails from you there. We've got the latest on the Philly soda tax, and we also have the recently recorded footage of the White House meeting between Bernie Sanders and Barack Obama, and we'll actually let you hear what happened there. And at this point, folks, we're going to take a really quick break. We'll be right back. Gotta pay some bills. Don't go away.
Calls, we got a pen and telephone to bypass all your laws. Political courageous will replace the Bill of Rights. Support religious freedom, lest you pray to Jesus Christ. The press is in our pockets, cause there's no longer free. You cannot make a move now that the NSA can see. Don't expect equality, respect for fair play.
Folks, you are listening to America Off the Rails, now a proud member of the Conservative Commando Radio Network, right here on WNJC 1360 AM, the powerhouse of Philadelphia. Now, I have a question for you. Do you ever find yourself maybe not near a radio? Maybe you're traveling and you don't have access to the internet? Did you know that the Conservatives Commando Radio Network can now be heard on a telephone network by calling 832-999-1199 anytime, day or night? That's right. You can hear every show as it's broadcast live, even if you're not near the radio or an internet, because, everybody nowadays has a phone in their hand. But here's the good news, though. As soon as we go off the air at night on the Conservative Commando Radio Network right here on WNJC, you can listen to every show that aired for that day as many times as you want just by dialing that number. It'll be a live feature every day at 12 p.m. daily, and it'll be exclusively for the shows that run on that network. But until the next day when it goes live again, they're going to run them over and over and over again. So now you have on-demand access to the Conservative Commando Radio Network right on your phone. How cool is that? Just remember, the Conservative Commando Radio Network, where now even more newsmakers go to be heard.
Is debt beating you down? You need discipline. You need the Debt Ninja. If you've been caught in a financial trap and need to be set free, then you need the Debt Ninja. Want to stop those harassing collection calls, start saving thousands in interest and fees, and get out of debt fast? Then you need to call the Debt Ninja. The Debt Ninja will find the best companies across the country that will help you consolidate all your bills into one easy payment, reduce your payments by 30 to 50%, and get you out of debt fast. If you have unsecured debt of $10,000 or more, such as credit cards, loans, or medical bills, call the Debt Ninja for a free 15-minute consultation.
Call 800-826-1246. 800-826-1246. That's 800-826-1246. Call today.
The Debt Ninja.
Are you tired of the disregard for our Constitution? Do you still have faith in the American dream? Are you looking for sensible, smart radio? If so, listen to the Conservative Commandos Radio Network every weekday from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. and Saturdays from 2 to 6 p.m. on WNJC Radio, 1360 on your AM dial, or around the world on the internet at WNJCradio.com. Check out our website, ccrsnetwork.com, for rebroadcasts and network updates. We are the Conservative Commandos Radio Network, where now even more newsmakers go to be heard.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
At the NSA can see, don't expect equality, respect or fair play. The IRS will target those who vote the wrong way.
Alright, folks, we are back. We are live. How's that drive home coming, Philly? Alright, so it's Friday. You're almost home, and it's almost the beginning of the weekend. We're going to take another little quick trip around the national local news scene. We've got a couple other stories I definitely wanted to make sure that we touched on today. This one is actually more of a national level story, and then we'll get back to the craziness here in Philadelphia area. But it kind of goes along with the story that we were talking about earlier with the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals that has recently done something completely crazy and actually said that concealed carry wasn't anything that was protected by Second Amendment, at least not out in California. Well, there's a little more craziness coming from the left coast area, so let's give this a listen.
So third time's a charm, right? A Democratic lawmaker wants to let undocumented citizens who send their children to school with your tax dollars vote in school board elections. Now, the proposed bill in San Francisco, it would affect about a third of the population. It has failed twice in the past, but the same type of measure has passed in places like Maryland and Chicago.
All right, so now remember, we talked about the Ninth Circuit earlier, which is based out of where? San Francisco. Now we have this is now the third attempt to be able to allow illegal immigrants with children attending schools in the San Francisco Bay Area to actually vote in school board, school bond type elections. So I mean, really? You know, we have the Ninth Circuit who basically says, yeah, concealed carry, not something the Founding Fathers intended. Oh, well, now we have this where they're like, hey, we've tried it once, didn't work. We've tried it twice, didn't work. Hey, let's try it a third time. Let's make sure that we can get illegal immigrants to be able to vote in school elections because, hey, their kids go there. Look, you know, I don't... And again, it goes back to the flame war. We haven't really even talked about that much on this show because I spent all night last night ranting and raving about that on the Jen and Rick show that we do over on the home station. So I've really been trying to focus more on the news type stuff because I'm so tired of talking about these two idiots. But it's all systemic. You've got liberal judges who think that nobody but police officers and military should be able to carry guns. You've got liberal idiots who think that people that came here illegally should have the same rights as me and you. Look, I understand, you know, if you take the Constitution and the Declaration literally, then everybody's born with the same rights. But the thing about it is, there are laws in place for a reason. And I've said this for years, and I still can't get anybody to give me a decent argument as to why this same analogy shouldn't hold true when it comes to immigration. Look, to me, it's no different than for all of these people that keep saying over and over again that we should have no rules that govern how people come in here. We should have open borders. We should do this. We should do that. Fine. Stop locking your car doors at night. Because if anybody can come into the country and do whatever they want to do it, they should have the same ability to do that in your car. Fine. Stop locking your doors and windows at night. Because if anybody has the ability to come into the country and do anything they want to do whenever the heck they want to do it, they should be able to do it in your home. Because the country is basically our home. We have the ability and the right to protect ourselves in our home. We also have the ability, the right, and the sovereignty to protect our borders. And just because Donald Trump is the one that's screaming the loudest about the wall doesn't mean he was the only one that was talking about ways to fix immigration. But the thing about it is, folks, he did it in a creative, hyperbole-style type argument that says, hey, we're going to make a wall, and if you make me mad, I'm going to make that wall 10 feet higher. But now that he's the nominee, guess what? The wall's virtual. Remember, we've been talking about that for the last few weeks. Most of his immigration reform, virtual. Gee, that's funny, because when the other guys who are actually serious people about trying to make these changes and not just telling people what they wanted to hear, started talking about all the ways that we could virtually enforce our immigration policies, he laughed at them and said they were crazy, that you had to have a wall. Not only did you have to have a wall, but it's okay, folks, because he's going to make the Mexicans pay for the wall. Then he spent all this past week making fun of a Mexican judge, saying things that were completely racist. Even Paul Ryan, who recently endorsed him, was like, I still think he's the best guy because he's better than her, but he shouldn't have said that. He really shouldn't have said that. I mean, look, I have the audio right here. You can't make this stuff up. You really cannot. He literally, after just endorsing the guy, feeling like he didn't have a choice but to endorse the guy, Donald Trump sticks his foot so far in his mouth, even Paul Ryan's looking around going, this guy's what the best we got? Okay. I mean, listen to this.
I disavow these requirements. I regret those comments that he made. I don't think claiming a person can't do their job because of their race is sort of like the textbook definition of a racist comment. I think that should be absolutely disavowed. It's absolutely unacceptable. But do I believe that Hillary Clinton is the answer? No, I do not. Do I believe that Hillary Clinton is going to be the answer to solving these problems? I do not. I believe that we have more common ground on the policy issues of the day, and we have more likelihood of getting our policies enacted with him than we do with her. But I do absolutely disavow those comments. I think they're wrong. I don't think they're right-headed. And the thinking behind it is something I don't even personally relate to. But at the end of the day, this is about ideas. This is about moving our agenda forward, and that's why we're moving the way we're moving. I just fundamentally disagree with that. I think it's wrong. The way I look at this is, if you say something that's wrong, I think the mature and responsible thing is to acknowledge it was wrong.
Okay, so just for the record, it really annoys me when people pronounce words and they make it sound like it's some highbrow word. I mean, it's just one of those things like, instead of saying again, someone says again, or mature instead of mature. Look, okay, I understand that you're some elitist guy, and I've never said that Ryan wasn't an elitist for anybody who's trying to quote me at this point. What I'm saying is for the guy that just basically had to eat his own hat a couple of weeks ago, be like, well, I'm the Speaker of the House, and I happen to be a Republican, and he's basically the Republican nominee, so I really don't have a choice but to endorse him. But now he said this, and he's a racist, but he's still the best choice, even though he's clearly a racist, still the best choice. What has happened to our country? I mean, look, let's just let this sink in for a second. We have been watching a Twitter flame war between the frontrunners of both parties who are now the presumptive nominees. Because, like it or not, Bernie Sanders ain't got a shot. And unless somebody grows a spine and figures out how to co-opt the RNC stuff here in just a little bit, that we're just stuck. And look, I don't even know at this point if I want someone to find a creative way to save the GOP. I'm not sure. Because, one of the things, as a student of history and as someone who has read a lot of different authors and read a lot of autobiographies and biographies and read through a lot of the historical documents for this country and for other countries, the one thing that has always kind of been a recurring theme in republics and democracies is that basically at any point in history, the people basically get the government that they deserve. And I'm sorry, with how I see everyone in this country treat each other nowadays, for the most part, I think we are part and parcel for where we should be. We have two of the most vain, petty, egotistical, narcissistic individuals ever vying to be the president of the United States. One of them is basically a murderer. The other one is a snake oil salesman. But when it comes down to it, we still have to look at them and say, which one of these two people do I align with most? Because that's what we're supposed to do, or that's what the media tells you. That's what folks like Sean Hannity tell you. That's what folks like Michael Savage tell you. I can't push that line anymore. I can't toe that line anymore. I cannot. Look, and I'm not saying that I have anywhere near the listenership that they do. I don't know if I ever will. I don't care. I'm not doing this to make myself rich. If I can find a way to pay my bills at it, great. I am doing it, though, because I told myself if I ever got to the point where I was doing this in as many places as this show can be heard every single day, whether it's terrestrially or on all the different internet outlets or everywhere that this thing can be heard, even on iHeartRadio. That's right, little old me is on iHeartRadio. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's been 2 years now. It still amazes me that we're there. And it's not because I don't think the show's worth it. It's just amazing to me that such a large platform was interested in little old me. But I made myself a promise that no matter what, I would never stop telling you what I believed. And what I believe right now is we are officially watching what has been coined the dumpster fire of 2016 become a Twitter flame war. And this is the epitome of why we as Americans are no longer allowed to have nice things. Because we are watching two people vying for the presidency, vying to be the leaders of the free world, and they are doing nothing but eviscerating each other on social media. And it has become the political equivalent of I'm rubber and you're glue. Whatever you say bounces off me and sticks to you. It's just stupid to watch this and to realize that I helped make this happen. That's what hurts the most, folks. Those of us that have had voices that have encouraged you to get up, that have encouraged you to wake up, that have encouraged you to put down the remote and get off the couch, we helped make this happen. I have to take the blame just as much as anyone else because I was the one telling you to vote your conscience. I was the one telling you that it was time to make a difference. Do you know how many times over the last 6 months my own slogan, put down the remote, get off the couch, find a way to get involved, has been used against me by Trump supporters on Twitter and in emails and everything else? Because now they're like, well, look, you're the one that told us to do this. We did it. Now you're mad that we did it. You can't have it both ways. And they're right. Because I didn't think. Because I thought, like we all do, that there were plenty of people out there that felt exactly the same way we did. And that if we reached enough of those people, that we could truly make a difference. But the problem is, folks, there really aren't very many true conservatives left. And I don't make that statement lightly. And I don't say it as hyperbole. I honestly do not think, when it comes right down to it, there are very many true dyed-in-the-wool conservatives left. Even people that are big voices in what I thought were the conservative movement and really big names in the supposed conservative movement are apparently not conservatives. Because they don't look at someone like Donald Trump and go, look, I understand that he's saying all of the right things. And I understand he's telling you what he wants to hear. But we know from his history that he doesn't believe any of these things. We know from his history he doesn't believe any of these things. But we've allowed him to co-opt the very party that we were fighting to save. So now we have a choice. Each of us has a choice. I will no longer make your decisions for you. I will no longer claim responsibility. What I will do is tell you what my choice is. I will no longer support the DNC in any way, shape, or form. Not that I really have. And I will no longer support the GOP in any way, shape, or form. Financially, interviews, probably not going to happen, folks. Because look, at this point, and I understand that I'm basically cutting my nose off. I understand that because, hey, I'm a political talk show guy. I will no longer give them a voice because they take the voice that we give them and they pervert it, they corrupt it, and they twist it. And I've watched it happen one too many times. And I've been a party to it one too many times. Can't do it anymore. I can't. I refuse. If the fact that we now have even more stories about people that want illegal immigrants to be able to vote to make sure that they have a voice for their kids that are in schools. We have the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals who's basically saying concealed carry is unconstitutional, blah, 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 blah. I mean, if you look, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. Our way of life is completely under attack. And instead of putting somebody in a position to be able to defend it and actually stand up and say, no, this is the Constitution, this is what the founders meant, this is what the document was meant for, our bastion of conservatism and freedom and liberty is Donald J. Trump. Let that sink in. And while you're weeping, because we're about out of time, I did promise I had a local story for you this go around, so we're going to get that queued up here real quick. I didn't forget. And then we still have the never before heard footage of one Mr. Bernie Sanders being spoken to by one Mr. Barack Obama. So we'll get to that too here in just a second. So this, Philly, was a nice little clip brought to me by someone you may know who's actually been on my show before. I don't think we've actually had her on the WNJC show yet. May have to fix that in the coming weeks. But Miss Jessica Sanders, host of Jesse's POV, which is one of the shows over on K98 Talk, actually brought this clip to my attention and thought that a little local news story might not be a bad idea. So I think we may actually make it a segment. Try to find something interesting to talk about that's at least Philly related. Couple times a month. This one is about a new soda tax being considered in Philly.
Chopper 6 was above Dilworth Park as members of the Teamsters Union and owners of independent grocery stores protested proposed 3 cents per ounce soda tax. Members of council were and are taking up the controversial tax proposal again today. Action News reporter John Rollins is live outside City Hall. John, what is the status of the situation?
Well, Jim, the Committee of the Whole of City Council is in recess until 6:30. The sense is proponents of that new tax do not have a consensus at this point for either the mayor's original plan or any of the compromises that have been floated. They need 9 votes to move forward. So at this point, we wait for shuttle diplomacy to work. Sound and fury. Chance of no new taxes versus kids can't wait. Anti and pro-soda tax factions facing off in council chambers today. The issue, the mayor's proposed sugary drink tax of 3 cents per ounce. The idea to expand pre-K programs across the city. One alternative, a 15-cent per container tax on all drink containers. But opponents said today it would not raise enough money and send the wrong message.
And will not have the same public health benefit that a soda tax would. Soda offers no nutritional benefit and it is a choice. Water, however, is essential for our well-being.
But the soda tax remains controversial as well. Retailers and unionized workers organized this rally this morning. The message, soda tax supporters don't understand how higher soda costs will cost jobs.
I don't believe that they believe that there's 2,000 jobs at stake here.
Supermarket middle manager Anthony Jackson had a tough life.
I got a lengthy past, a criminal background. I was incarcerated a lot.
But he has turned it around, and today he wanted council to know a tax that could double or triple the cost of drinks could have a cost.
I know the owner of the company, he's going to have to downsize. So I might be one of the people that go. Not only me, but the people up under me will be the first ones to go. Cashiers, they can't provide for their families. So everybody's in a tough squeeze.
Well, a lot of passion on both sides of the issue here, Jim. Will the mayor prevail? At this point, we do not know how the council will vote. Will the mayor prevail? Will there be some sort of compromise? Again, council's committee of the whole is in recess until 6:30. Maybe we will learn more then. Live at City Hall, John Rollins, Channel 6 Action News.
John, thank you.
All right, Philly. So, okay. So, what's going on, Philly? See, you know, I skimmed this the other day when I got the email on it, and I'm like, okay, 3 cents. That's not bad. I didn't realize they were talking about 3 cents an ounce. So you're telling me for every 12-ounce can of soda, you think there needs to be an additional 36 cents tax? What about a 2-liter soda bottle? That's what, 64 ounces at 3 cents? So you're telling me in a city where you already got to pay, what is it, $3-4 for a 2-liter? You're going to tack another $2 onto that? I mean, look. I get it. Education is important. I understand that. We're having the same kind of struggles here in my home state. But this is serious, guys. I mean, what, do you think these people that are talking about cutting back if these type of taxes pass are bluffing? In this economy, you're talking about risking 2,000 jobs for a tax? I mean, I don't get it. I truthfully, honestly do not get it. And I understand that from the sound of this news story that everybody's kind of split on it, but the fact that it even came up at all, I mean, come on, have you guys actually looked at what you pay in taxes? Have you really looked at your city taxes and your payroll taxes and your, I mean, dude, anybody remember the 80s version Popeye movie with Robin Williams and Shelley Duvall? And they had this little, everybody thought he was funny back then, the little guy that was following Popeye around, and anytime he went to do anything, he was like, oh, you got to pay the 15% convenience fee. You got to pay the 15% you should have tied your shoes the right way fee. You got to pay the 10% you didn't get out of bed the right way fee. And everybody thought it was funny then. Do you realize how many of those things that we made fun of in that movie in the 80s have come to pass now? When's the last time you ran a credit card anywhere? Minimum charge of $5 because of the fees that they charge. Minimum charge of $10 because of the fees that the card companies charge. Oh, you've got a party of 5? Guess what? 15% gratuity, not optional. Oh, you want to use our system to run a check over the phone to pay a bill? $9.95 convenience fee. Oh, you want to use a credit card or a debit card to pay that electric bill? $3.95 convenience fee. Who's it convenient for? It's not convenient for me that you're raking me over the coals. What, so I'm supposed to pay an extra fee because it's convenient? Because you let me run a credit card to pay a bill that you're making me pay because I don't have a choice? Look, I'm capitalist as much as the next guy. But are we going to be capitalists or are we going to be Ferengi? And I bring that up because I've about politicked out over the last few weeks. So when I'm not watching political news, because, you know, it's the summer, and a lot of the shows that I like to watch on a regular basis are on rerun or not on at all, because we've now gone to these shortened cycles where they play like 10 episodes of one thing, then change to like 6 episodes of something else, then come back to the other 10, blah, blah, blah. So I have Netflix. So I've been watching Star Trek Deep Space Nine. You know, it amazed me. It's an older show. I'd forgotten a lot of it. So in some ways it's kind of like watching it all over again. So there was an episode where a little Ferengi dude, little troll, runs a bar, went home. And he was trying to deal with the fact that there was some family squabble, you know, their planet women can't earn money, blah, 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 not supposed to wear clothes. Well, apparently his mom was really good at business, made all this money. He's getting in trouble for it because she's breaking the law. He has to either get her to sign a confession, pay restitution, blah, blah, blah. So at first they're making it seem like it's no big deal, and he's like, I'm still not paying it because she broke the law. So it turns out that it was a really big deal because apparently she made a lot of money, which is a big deal if you're Ferengi. But, and I digress a little bit, but the thing that stuck out to me is it reminded me of all of these little nickel and dime things that we pay now on a daily basis that we don't even give any thought to, because they went into his house, and on the way into the house they give this big spiel about my house is my house, you are not entitled to any of the property. I'm not responsible for any damages you incur while you're here. And then the dude that walked in actually had to pay money to come into their house. And then so he's over dealing with their, I guess, maybe like a city council member or something, or, you know, like the city municipality places where you go pay like your water bill and stuff. He's in there talking to one of those folks about this whole thing with his mom. So he asks him a question, and the dude points to the little thing, and so he drops some money in there before he'd answer his question. Then he's like, how much is it to go sit in that chair while I wait? And they're like, well, for them it was like 3 slips of Latinum. For us it'd be like $3. And then he's like, but it's also $1 to stand. And it just reminded me of these are the things that we're doing at this point. We have gotten to the point where we're so interested in finding little bitty ways to make money that we charge everybody for everything, and we offer everything. I used to work for an airline that shall remain nameless, that when I first started working there, the only thing that we were responsible for was good customer service. We made sure they got what they wanted, when they wanted it, the flights they wanted. We made sure we didn't charge them for this, that, and the other. And if I go into too much more of it, you're going to know exactly who it is, and I don't want that to happen. But as I started working there, what was promised to me not to be a sales job all of a sudden started becoming a sales job. I had to start pushing the credit card. I had to start upselling the flights. Even on bereavement flights, I had to say, well, this is all we have, but if you go with this next higher one, you get these perks. Even when somebody was calling me about wanting a cheap flight because they had an unexpected death, if all we had available was the full fare flight, I was supposed to upsell them to the next available if I could, because the benefits might outweigh the cost to them because it was only going to be a few dollars more. The fact that that has been happening in the corporate sector now for a very long time and is now starting to be clamored for in the public sector is preposterous to me, that we've gotten to this point. So Philadelphia, I don't know where you stand on that. It really doesn't matter to me one way or the other. But I just want you to stop and think before you keep just signing up for all of these taxes. And I just realized I am completely out of time. So we're going to have to get out of here because Rick Trader's about to come in here, grab me with a hook, and make me go away. So I promise next week we have more stuff to talk about, stuff we didn't get to this week that we'll have back on next week's show. But I really have got to go. You guys have a great night. Enjoy our great drive home. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I'll be back with you next week. I'm out, folks. Going to be a short way out. Got to run.
That's all you lost. Political correctness will replace the Bill of Rights. Support religious freedom, lest you pray to Jesus Christ. The press is in our pockets cause there's no one free. You cannot make a move now that the NSA can see. Don't expect equality, respect, or fair play. The IRS will target those who vote the wrong way.